Okay, I'm live already. All right, good. Hi. So there's latency. I'm just gonna turn off Twitch here. So welcome to Battling Ants in Your Pants, if you're wearing any. The talk title obviously comes from the many videos we've seen of someone in the home call bombing people without wearing the appropriate clothing. Um, it's gonna be a little bit interactive at the end, where I'm gonna show you some of the links that I'm doing, and afterwards I can link, because I don't know if you're gonna get the slides or not. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them in the Twitch chat after the presentation. So this is a talk purely about the selection of tech-related things you can do while your country is in lockdown. And for some of you, this might maybe develop into new hobbies and passions. Obviously, there's always gaming or whatever people are watching. We can use this time as a reset button to learn who we are, who we're with, and see whether we even like this mix of people. And there's a really good video by CGP Grey. It's called Lockdown Productivity, Spaceship U. In this video, he talks about what to do with Spaceship U, where you're away from Earth and you need to come back in a mentally and physically good state. So he's basically explaining what you can do in lockdown to not go crazy. But then there's also Mathieu Ricard, who goes a little bit further, and he has written quite a lot of books and given a few TED Talks and other presentations where he explains how happiness comes more from when you help other people as well. It's not just about you all the time. So, as he would tell you, there's more to life and happiness than just caring about yourself. He was a scientist, and after finishing his PhD, he ended up thinking, I should become a Buddhist monk, and he did that, which is amazing. So just read up on his story afterwards. You've probably got some time to research the topics of happiness and altruism and how it benefits you in the long term when you care more about others than about yourself, only yourself. But now, since we all know that stuff's really simple, let's talk about tech. We'll look into projects you can contribute to or that might give you inspiration to get going with your own ideas, projects that might be useful for you or people around you, and projects to just play around with. Maybe someone in your family has a problem you can help them with, and maybe you can just explore some ideas together. I won't specifically get into IoT because, yes, if you want to get into Internet of Things, you can just go ahead, get yourself a Raspberry Pi, Arduino, or many of the other toys and hardware to build computers with, but that would fill its own talk. In the picture on the slide, you see a collection of my modules and things I have for building IoT stuff. If you're interested, write me on Twitch, and maybe we can arrange a call where we're all geeking out on on the IoT stuff we have, or just I can show you how to get started if you're interested. So just type it in Twitch and I'll see it. I can definitely recommend doing this type of stuff if you have kids and they're 9 and up, or if you don't have kids and can dedicate enough time to get going with that topic. It's pretty fun to play around with, but let's go to the various other options of tech-related projects you can have a look at. If you're interested, there's also things like restyling things you already have. In this case, this is a picture of me just buying skins, but you can also 3D print skins for you. In this case, it's Switch controllers. Obviously, you're going to have other controllers at home as well. You can also use IoT as a playground for medical appliances and tests on yourself, but don't mistake this as anything else than a playground. There are various sensors around that you can use to track temperature, heart rate, sweating, position, and more. It's pretty cool that you can do this. But obviously, if you have a serious condition, do talk to a doctor first. As a non-medical example, you could use a sensor or camera next to the cookie stash. This is a link to a YouTube video about a cookie thief. So if someone tries to steal your cookies, you can either sound the alarm or have a small hose connected to, spray them with water. It's fun for the whole family, and it'll teach them not to steal your cookies. The one thing you'll be impacted most during lockdown is if someone in your family is snoring heavily. Heavy snoring can be an indicator for sleep apnea. Definitely have that checked out after the lockdown if you or a loved one are suffering from that. In a more serious case, you'll need a CPAP machine, which means having a mask on your face while you sleep. But now you're used to that from having to wear it all the time when you're outside, so it's fine. It provides you with continuous airway pressure. That means you get a continuous flow of air into your lungs and you don't stop breathing during the night, which happens in that condition, right? CPAP machines became a little bit more famous recently because some people tried to build ventilators needed for those most affected by the COVID crisis. And they tried to build these ventilators out of CPAP machines because it's kind of similar, a similar way of what it's actually doing, airflow. But obviously, all of these things have very specific use cases. So they're not quite the same. It's generally bad advice to try and repurpose anything that has a specific medical application, unless you're an engineer in addition to being a doctor, in which case, please do anything you can to help whatever things you can repurpose. CPAP machines usually cost a lot, and I wouldn't advise you to build one yourself, although it's technically possible. What you could take a look at, though, is if you have one already or someone in your family, there's review and research software. So I've put in a screenshot of Oscar, which is the open source CPAP analysis reporter. There was an Australian software developer who had sleep apnea himself, and he went ahead and created a project where from the proprietary CPAP machines, he could extract his own sleeping data and use that to adjust his CPAP machine. Obviously, you should do that with your doctor, but most doctors aren't even aware that this is saved there. So this could actually help you get better sleep. Help your family to get some sleep. So for more information about this specifically, check out the 2 links I've provided on this slide, and I can put them on Twitch. There are also many open source libraries and frameworks and other things you could contribute to if you're a really good developer and want to help the medical community. One such project is Hospital Run, which I've screenshotted here, and hospitalrun.io is the website. It's open source, you can contribute, and you can help in many other ways, donations, of course, as well. It's also a challenge for developers because this time you're constrained in resources. So you can't just spin up any other machine in the cloud because this software runs in hospitals in the developing world. So you don't have the cloud, you don't have endless machines to run on. So you have to code efficiently and understand the restraints. It's very, very good exercise for your coding skills. And you'll know you actually helped in a project that isn't just a shiny new library that will be outdated in 6 months. In the next instance, we can check out 3D printing. Now, there's a bit longer section here. You can specifically check out 3D printing in terms of what you can help with in the COVID crisis. This is a video link to how to help hospitals buy smarter every day. And they basically went ahead and created face shields. So they took, I think, overhead projector, like the plastic from that, and 3D printed the headbands. And then they disinfected the whole thing and sealed it up and sent it to hospitals. But these weren't just individual efforts. They were actually rallying together locally and making things happen together with the politicians and leadership of the hospital in order to make it actually useful. So this is a good one. So 3D printing, what you can also do is checking, 3D printing artificial limbs or other medical devices or accessories. One such thing is in enablingthefuture.org. It's global network of volunteers. They use their 3D printers for the good cause of creating prosthetic hands. It's not just one thing. There are several local chapters. So if you want to join and help people, adults and kids likewise, to get a 3D printed prosthetic hand, this Enable community, it's almost everywhere. You can see on the world map that obviously it's not everywhere, but you might find a local chapter and be able to help there. If you're not really into any of the medical products and projects, you can do a lot more with 3D printing. And, from hose adapters to masks, action figures, lamps, anything. Also, if you're a pen and paper role player, that's your way to go. You can print your own characters if you know a little bit of modeling. Otherwise, you can maybe just revamp one of the existing models. It's pretty cool. I had a 3D printer myself a while ago, but all I did was print Yoshis. This one's obviously not printed, but my son was crazy about Yoshis. So he wanted 1,000 Yoshis for Christmas. And we did not print exactly 1,000 Yoshis, but we printed quite a few. We gave those away. So I don't have an actual picture. I was looking for half an hour to find a picture, but I don't have one. But we've 3D printed this model that you can see on the slide on the right. And I can send you the link to that as well. It's on Thingiverse. You'll find all kinds of models there. It's really cool. So the next thing you can do is obviously teaching or learning programming. This is a screenshot from Scratch. This tool has been around for a long time by now, I think almost 1.5 decades. And it's what you can do if you have someone that doesn't know programming and they are not interested in doing text. kids or people who really think it's super boring, this is something you can show to them because they just attach things next to each other. Most of you probably know Scratch if you're in this chat, but a reminder, it exists and it's kind of cool to show people. And after learning to program, and there's plenty of tutorials out there, and this talk is pretty short, so we're not going to get into that. But let me know in Twitch chat whether you're interested in tutorial for programming as well. Sorry. So let's go to draw with AI, because AI and ML is obviously fun and interesting to learn, and there's several APIs, so you might get interested into using that. So what I'm going to show you after I've presented, let's look at a few links together. So this is Draw with AI. It's a quick draw with google.com. It basically, you can draw something and the computer tries to recognize it. And this open data set, you can download it, you can play around with it. There's tons and tons of sketches and doodles people did. And Google is using that for their ML algorithms, but you can use it as well. So this is a pretty nice one. Just play around with it. You can play around with anyone who is not into tech. And if you're a developer, you can definitely play around with the data. Hospital, you mean the about the hospital? Let me go back. Sorry, there's a Twitch, hospitalrun.io for the Twitch comment just now. Okay. So the next one is, for example, there are 2 links there. I can post them in the Twitch chat. Draw together with a neural network. Basically, you start a sketch and the AI finishes it. In some cases, it doesn't work as well. If you look at the left one, I tried to draw a bird and it just drew another weird something into what I did. Sometimes it works really well. In the middle screenshot, you'll see me drawing a garden, which is terrible, and then the AI drawing over it, just green lines. They were later filled out into flowers. So basically, this is cool stuff you can show someone and also play around with on your own with some of the code. The next one is text to image API. You type in a text. It could be a word as well, but if you try it, a full sentence, it's funnier. It creates an image from scratch from a text description. We can try that out right now. Okay, and there's also auto draw, which is my personal favorite, where you start drawing anything and in the top bar, you'll see things suggested. And when you click on any of them, it auto completes basically your clip art, and you can obviously reuse that. So you draw something and the computer draws it a lot better. It's great, again, for pen and paper role playing. It's great for storyboards. It's great for any kind of activity where you need to draw really well, but you can't. So you just do a few lines and the computer does the rest for you. This was fairly quick, and obviously I'm not going into all the games you could play, like Kerbal Space Program or Factorio or Skyrim, whatever. There are tons of games that you can either play alone or play together with people. But it's not the topic of this talk, because if we're going to talk about games, we can do that for hours. So what did we learn from this? Watch the YouTube video if you've seen the movie Burn After Reading. What we basically have learned is we hope we don't have to do anything like this again. We learn to be kind to each other, and we learn to wear pants when someone in your household has a video call. And with that, we'll now go into the tabs to look at what there is. Thank you for watching and donating anyway for this, but let's go through the tabs, right? So this is Thingiverse. Can someone say something that you'd like to 3D print in the Twitch chat, and we'll look for that model. So I'll just show you how easy it is to get your 3D printer started. First one to type a word into Twitch chat that is appropriate gets me to search it. Tiger. All right, so this is, for example, let's go to this one. You could download all files, and then after it's printed, you could, make it a little nicer. Oh, rainbows would be interesting. And after that, you'll have your model that you 3D printed. You can also change all the models in the 3D modeling program. So, I mean, I would use Blender. Then you just open the file in Blender and remodel it, and then can 3D print that. So Thingiverse is pretty cool. I'll just check rainbows for the fun of it to see what exists. Okay, so something exists there for rainbows as well. Now we know. Next, the quick draw thing, right? You go to let's draw, and then the computer tries to guess what you're doing. Rain in under 20 seconds. You can try that. You don't hear the computer now because I haven't put in the audio source, but the computer basically says, oh, I know it's rain, and then moves you on to the next one. And after that, you'll get a compilation of the things that the computer recognized, and it's added to the quick draw data set, which you can see here, tons and tons and tons. So for example, if you go to the cake one, you'll see all the cake variants, 111,000, almost 112,000 cake variants. So this is a data set that you can use. Next, let's check, for example, the Magic Sketchpad game. Let's go. And you can really do that with your kids or anyway, just for fun, a basket. Showing off my awesome skills now. Okay, computers are way better than humans are. Next one, so that's the Magic Sketchpad. This one's funny. Okay, someone say a sentence in Twitch chat. We'll type it in here and see what happens. Someone has a sentence? We're doing a talk. Type in, we're doing a talk. This happens. Oh, the quick, okay, let's do this one. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Okay, let's see what happens. Usually you'll get dogs. Sometimes you get dogs or cats, even if you've never typed anything like that. It's not bad. It's not bad for AI. All right, but now let's check out my favorite. It's the auto draw one. Basically, let's say we draw, I don't know, a flower. Could have drawn a Yoshi. It would probably not recognize that. This is the worst flower ever, but it does recognize it. So if you go on here now, this is what it creates, and you can then save it, export it, do anything with it. And I quite like this. It's really great, especially for kids. So it could keep them busy while you're doing that call or doing something else that you want to be doing. Yeah, it's really pretty cool. So I hope that was somewhat entertaining. Let me know whether you'd like an IoT workshop or anything like that. And basically let me know in Twitch chat whether you'd like to hear anything more. And yeah, thanks.